Hey guys, it's Troy again. I've been asked a bunch of times how I got started playing with fountain pens and getting into the hobby. And I wanted to share with you one of my all-time favorite pens. It's my favorite because, quite honestly, it was the only fountain pen that I had for 20 years at least. And it was a workhorse of a pen. It was a reliable pen. And it was the same pen that one of my best friends had. I worked at two different radio stations with one particular guy who became one of my best friends on the planet. And he wrote incessantly with a fountain pen, and he let me try it one day at work. So I bought a little cheapy fountain pen, and it was okay, ran out of cartridges, and so I eventually found the one that he had. I found it on sale at a Michael's craft store in North Carolina, and I bought it for $40. Well, just in today's pen mail, I got another one of those, the Waterman Phileas. Phileas, kind of a funny name for a pen, but if you're familiar with Jules Verne at all, and you've seen Around the World in 80 Days in a movie form or read the book, then Phileas Fogg is a character in that book. So Waterman had a tremendous pen, in my opinion, that came out around 1994. And quite honestly, I bought it within a year or two of that. The Waterman Phileas is what arrived in the mail today. Sometimes they came in a package like this. Sometimes they came in a pack that I still see online from time to time. The one I bought, for instance, came with the pen, some cartridges, a converter, and a bottle of black Waterman ink. And I used up that bottle, and I bought a El Cheapo bottle of ink online to keep filling it with. I would use the pen, I'd set it aside. You know, when I first ran out of cartridges, I'd set it aside. And I never really cleaned it, never took care of it, because I really didn't know how at first. So I can tell you that the Waterman Phileas, this is the one of which I speak. This has been a workhorse of a pen for me for over 20 years. And like I said, it was my only fountain pen for a long, long time, and I thought I'd lost it somewhere in the house. Eventually found it. I was like, oh, there it is. So I was able to ink it back up and clean it up and use it. So this is the reason why I got into the fountain pen hobby. I've had more than one Waterman Phileas over the years. As a matter of fact, just recently I gave one to somebody that had said that they had wanted one. And so you've got that nice little Art Deco style kind of thing going on, and you've got different colors that it comes in, a nice acrylic or PVC is what I was told it was, but it is a plastic nonetheless. But you've got a tip down at the end, and you've got a ring, and you've got that little emblem right there, which really tells you, besides the color, well, not necessarily the color, but I mean the style of the cap, that this is a Waterman Phileas. And of course you've got the little W here on the clip. You've got the bifurcated clip that is very typical of Waterman, and you've got that band here. It's always a slip cap on these. You've got a nice Waterman nib. I'll give you some close-ups of all of this. And this one is not inked up. This one I do believe I cleaned out some time ago. Alright, so this is how this one arrived in a box. This one has not seen ink, at least until I got a hold of it. So it came in a typical generic Waterman box. I say generic in that you put a lot of pens in these kinds of boxes, had a little pillow, pull it off, and I look down here. There was a converter down here. That converter is now in that pen, and it is inked up, and a Waterman booklet. So you can still find a bunch of these online, by the way, and if you look on eBay, you can find them, and I've seen them from anywhere from $50, $40 on up through some people trying to get a couple hundred. I don't know what they're smoking that they think they can get a couple hundred. Don't fall for it when someone puts vintage or rare in their eBay listings. By the way, if you're a seller on eBay, just because you attach the word vintage or you attach the word rare doesn't mean that it is. So, I don't consider this to be a vintage pen. I consider this to be a modern pen, having come out in the 1990s up through 2009 or so. We're talking discontinued just within the last 10 years. Now, an interesting thing, Waterman also produced the Kultur, Kultur, which this is one as well. And the reason I got it is because it is the Sharon Cycle Club. Well, that just happens to be the name of my sweetheart, my bride, who, by the way, we just celebrated just yesterday 12 years for the anniversary of our first date. So I remember that every single year. But the Kultur, it is less stylish generally. This one just happens to be, you know, Harley Davidson and an American flag, which I thought was pretty cool. But it's identical, essentially, in its styling to the Phileas. But it's a little more cheaply made, and it's not as elegant a style as you would find in the Phileas, and that is by design, and they usually are cheaper. I have seen these in almost a demonstrator where it was a clear color or a translucent color, let's say, of a pink or a purple or an orange, that kind of thing. I've seen those online at a fairly reasonable price. So if you're looking for an entry-level pen, well, first of all, the Kultur would be a good place to start. Now, the Waterman Phileas was meant to be an entry-level pen, where a price range $35 to $45 when they were first introduced. And like I said, I paid $40 for mine in a gift set. So, you know, that's right in line. And the price has only gone up from there. If you happen to live in North Carolina or you're going to a pen show, I can tell you right now, Crazy Allen's Emporium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, last time I was there, and when I've seen them at pen shows, had a bunch of Waterman Phileases. And they were popular for a reason. They were affordable, they were reliable, they pretty much ate any ink that I put into it. I told you that I bought another bottle of ink, and it was by, Hero was the brand, so it was a Chinese ink. And it wrote horribly when I put it into a Lamy 2000, and I had to flush it out and try a different ink. Threw it into my Waterman Phileas, it wrote with it. Any ink that I ever put in this old blue Waterman Phileas, it ate it and it wrote with it just fine. No problems, fairly smooth. No, not the smoothest thing I've ever worked with. I wouldn't expect that out of that price range of a pen, but it wrote well, and it wrote very smoothly enough for me to make it a daily writer and keeping it for 20 plus years. So let's go ahead and I'll give you some statistics about this particular pen, and then I'll go ahead and show you how this baby writes. So I'm back with one of my all-time favorites, and this is just a beautiful green. It's a very dark green. I'm not sure how well that's showing up on camera, but this is like a deep emerald looking green, and it's got just a little bit of swirl in it of some black in there as well. So let's go ahead. It's a slip cap. Pull it off. I personally like to post it, always have, and probably always will on the Phileas, because it's light enough where it doesn't back weight that pen tremendously. It fits very comfortably in my hand, which is why I've kept it for a couple of decades as one of my mainstays, and every so often I pull it out, ink it up, and write with it. So, matter of fact, if you want to look at my Instagram account, you can see that I have used it from time to time over the past year especially. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's show you how this baby writes. So, this, a Waterman Phileas. Very reliable, very nice pen, workhorse of a pen if ever I had one in my collection. So this particular one has got the emerald trim. I put in some Robert Oster emerald ink, and that is a very nice emerald looking ink, I think. Robert Oster did a great job. That emerald obviously a lot lighter than the deep emerald color of this particular pen. But this pen actually glides across the page very nicely. Yeah, does fairly well. I mean, I wrote pretty fast and skipped on through there, but you're not going to get a whole lot of line variation, though. It's a fairly rigid steel nib on it, which I would expect. The section has a nice little grip to it, and you know, you really can't go wrong. I got to be honest with you. Like I said, I've got a soft spot for this particular pen. I always have, and probably always will, which is why I bought another one of these. And you know, I probably will buy more over the years. Probably will give away some more as well. So the Waterman Phileas is one of my all-time favorites.